Let me introduce Brian Lindberg.
Hey guys. Well, as you can see, I have notes, which makes Tori very happy because normally I don't have notes and I actually read them this time. So, as Larry was saying, I wrote a book, and the title of the book is Caution, the Choice is Yours. Basically, different people have come to my office over the years and they tell stories. And pretty much I've heard almost every story you can imagine. And the people that come to me always seem to be looking. And some people catch on right away. Some people take longer to catch on. Some people don't want to catch on. So after a while, I thought about this, and as Larry said, whatever was on my heart, I started writing. And I had no intentions of writing a book. It just, as I wrote more and more and more, and I thought, well, I have the makings of a book. And I actually let my son read it, and my son read it, and he said, well, this is not half bad. So then I went further with it and had some ideas and looked around, and sure enough, found a publisher who would publish it, and today I have a book. So the title is Caution, the Choice is Yours. And when you see the title, a lot of people give me kind of raised eyebrows and they think, well, what's the title all about? And it comes from Revelation 3:16. And basically in that, Christ is cautioning us. Basically, we have a choice. And we have a choice to make. And he doesn't make the choice for us. And the people I come across seem to be wondering what choice to make. And they are not sure what it means to make a choice. And I always wondered, why is it people are so kind of unsure of their choices, and they second guess their choices? And I think, well, I wonder if that's because people don't even understand the power of the choice. Because God gives us free will. He gives us the choice. And that choice kind of defines us. So the cover of my book, Caution, is pretty much cautioning people that be wary of choice, because choice is important. And so with that said, I made a choice. The choice I made was I'm a Christian. As a Christian, it's not what I am, it's who I am. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a therapist, I'm disabled. Those things are what I am. They're not who I am. Who I am is much more personal. It's much more intimate. It dictates the choices I make or choices I don't make based on who I am. So when I say I'm a Christian, that's who I am, not what I am. I don't wear it. Christian is not something I do like being a fireman or a therapist. It's who I am. It's how I live. And if I listen to God and I think to myself, this is who I am, then my choices should logically follow that kind of thinking of who I am. The reason why I think this is important is because I don't think people ever consider the beginning. The beginning, before you make the choice, there's something behind the choice. And that's behind the scenes is the beginning. So that kind of led me to the belief that before the beginning, there's a beginning to the beginning, which is kind of confusing. But if you think about it, the Bible starts out, God created the heavens and earth. Well, that's great. That's how the Bible begins. But there's a beginning to the beginning, and that beginning is God. So for me, knowing where you start, knowing where you begin, is very important because it tells you what path you're on. If you're not sure where you start or where the beginning is, I'm not sure if you will know where you're going or how you're getting there or when you arrived at that place. what's interesting to me is in 2011, there was a poll conducted in 24 different countries. It was a simple poll. They asked a simple question. It was a very important question, but simple. And that question was, who are you? What do you believe? What is your beginning? And what was interesting in that poll is that some of the responses. The first one was the evolutionist choice. The evolutionists believe that we evolved from lower species such as apes over many years. I'm not saying that point of view is wrong or right. I'm just saying that's the beginning. And if you believe that, that's your beginning. That's where you start. Every action that follows from that point forward will be according to that belief. Another belief that I attest to, because I'm a Christian, that's who I am, is a creationist. A creationist believe in God. I believe God is the beginning. And everything of my belief follow according to that belief. I'm not evolved, I actually have a purpose. Then there's a third category. The third category are on the fence. They're neither evolutionist nor creationist. They go back and forth. Sometimes they see points of the evolutionist, they see points of the creationist. And again, the responses weren't as interesting as the fact that all three responses closely fell into thirds. A third of the people believed, a third of the people didn't believe, and a third of the people were dazed. I kind of call this the flavors of people. And the flavors of people, the first one would be the do's. And these are people I see in my office when they come in to my office. These are people that have lost their way and are looking for solutions. They are problem solvers at heart. And so they are doers. They are people that come in my office. I speak to them. We have great conversations. I throw a few interventions their way, and they pretty much take the ball and run with it. Then the second category of people that come in my office are the don'ts. Don'ts are much more hard to work with. Don'ts are people that they don't like being told what to do. They like the way their life is. Even if what the way their life is kind of not working out for them so great. These are the people that you see and you think to yourself, why are you doing that? Why are you making that choice? Why are you doing things like that? These people have a belief in themselves. They believe strongly in themselves. They don't really care to hear what another person might say, unless it's going to make their life easier and they don't have to do anything to change it. As long as they can keep doing what they're doing, they're more than happy to listen to you. And the third person that comes to my office is the dazed. Now, the dazed person is neither a do or don't. They kind of fluctuate. They go back and forth. They have moments of do potential. They have moments of don't potential. They kind of are consistently in this kind of maybe one crisis to another crisis, you could say. They get themselves in a fix. They get fixed. They get solved. But a matter of time, either due to a host of reasons, either persistence, and they find themselves back in the don't category. And those are pretty much the three flavors of life, of people. And you could pretty much go to the street of Galax, pull 9 people off the street at random, and chances are you could pick those people out. You could put 3 in the do category, 3 in the don't category, and 3 in the days category. For the most part, it runs pretty true. And that's that they found out in the poll in 2011. They found out that after they polled all the people in 24 countries they fell into different categories. A third of them said they were evolutionists, a third said they were creationists, and a third said, we just don't know. We're one or the other. Now, Germany had the most evolutionists. Saudi Arabia had the most creationists. But when you combine all of them together, this is pretty much how you fell into category. As a therapist and a Christian, my biggest concern is with the last category, the dazed. These are the people who are not sure and are seeking an answer. They want to choose. They want to know how to do things. These are people I most feel connected to, and these are the people I mostly work with in my practice. They don't have tendency to go on their way. So it doesn't take too much. Sometimes I give them a little nudge, but most times they find their own way and stuff. But what I like most about working with the dazed is that they are sincere about finding out who they are. What also troubles me about the dazed is they are lukewarm. And I know as a Christian, lukewarm is a caution. It's a kind of warning sign. I know that Christ tells us in Revelation 3:16, I know you. You're neither hot nor cold. You're lukewarm. And because you're lukewarm, I'm going to spit you out of my mouth. And if you look this verse up, it's really interesting because there's a bunch of different commentaries on this verse. First of all, they'll take apart the word lukewarm and they'll boil the word down till they tell you what lukewarm means. And then they will take the word spit you out of my mouth and kind of give you symbolism what it means. Imagine somebody comes up to you on the street and says, Randy, I know you. Dude, you're lukewarm. You're neither hot nor cold. I'm done with you. What kind of impression would that leave you with? And what gets me is that this is what Christ is saying. Christ is saying, look, I don't know what to do with you. You're not hot. You're not cold. You're lukewarm. I guess I'm going to spit you out of my mouth because I don't know what to do with you. And as a therapist, this is what I see in my office. And what mostly concerns me is because these people fluctuate back and forth. And they want a direction. But they just haven't found a direction. So for me, the problem is it's a caution. I know the choice is mine. I know who I am. I know that who I am decides the choice I make. I know the choice I make will determine the actions that follow. And basically, since that's the way it goes, I have to make a choice. What happens if I don't make a choice? What happens if I don't decide who I am? And what happens if I just kind of flow with the stream, wherever it takes me? What happens then? And that is the problem. So a lot of people ask me, okay, Brian, so we got all this stuff. So what's the plan? Well, the plan is world domination. See, I'm a believer in go big or go home. So my plan is I want to dominate the world. And right now, I would laugh and they will laugh, but all I can do is moo ha ha, which sounds like a happy cow. So I'm not going to do that. My idea is that if 1/3 of the people are in the doom category, 1/3 of the people are in the do category, 1/3 in the days category, that category shifted over I'm not a math genius, but that's 2/3. That's a dominating force. You can dominate the world if you have 2/3 of people. This is what I think happens. I think that dominates the world. Us as Christians can dominate the world very easily, very, very easily, with that idea of world domination. Can anyone do that? Muhaha. No, forget it. So, with that in mind, that means there's a choice to be made. That choice determines outcome. Those outcomes are actions, and actions that follow determine more choices to be made, right? All that comes with the idea that somewhere the buck has to stop. And have you guys heard that saying, the buck stops here? Basically, it means the buck stops here means that there is accountability. So this is where I read my notes, and Tori gets very happy. Basically, you have to take responsibility. If you don't take responsibility for your situation, who is responsible? I'm not responsible for what Tori does. Tori is not responsible for what I do, So I can't blame Tori for something I've done because I'm responsible for my decisions. This idea of responsibility is something deep in the choice, something that God gave us. It's not judgment. And we're told not to judge. It's not judgment. It's taking responsibility for our actions. And those responsibilities will determine the outcome. Kind of regardless of the choice, you're the one who chooses. If you choose to be a slave to human behavior, human biology, stand by for the results. In other words, if you're a victim to every desire and a whim, chances are there's going to be consequences, and you'll find out what those consequences are. If, however, you choose to take charge of your desires, then you're the one in control. If you're the one in control, your actions seem to follow suit with who you are. Again, it's not what you are, it's who you are. Who you are is much more important. It's much more personal than what you are. Travis is a firefighter. That's what he is. But he's a Christian. A Christian is who he is. Sure, he can be a Christian firefighter. I'm sure Travis is a Christian firefighter. So that means Travis puts out fires with love, kindness, respect, non-judgmental. That's how he puts out fires. Isn't that right, Travis? Yeah, that's right. I'm a therapist, so I do that. That's the kind of therapist I am. People call up my office and they tell Tori, is he a Christian therapist? And Tori says, oh yeah, he's a Christian therapist. And she puts this nice little note on the end of the intake form that says Christian therapist, ? And then I read that. That's not good. If you tell me you're a Christian and you come to my office, I expect that's who you are, not what you are. If you come to my office expecting me to be kind, loving, patient, forgiving, non-judgmental, I'll be that for a while. But once you say that, I expect you and I are on the same page. In other words, this is who we are. So if you're doing things wrong, I will help you correct those. If you choose not to correct those, I quickly know who you are. And once I know who you are, I know who I'm talking to. Once I know who I'm talking to, I very politely refer you to someone else. That's pretty much how I do things. Or do you say that you're done talking to me? But anyways, the matter takes care of itself for the most part. So you start to see how who we are is very important than what we are. And the people that come in office seem to confuse those two things for the most part. This idea of who we are is free will. It's a free choice that God gives us from the very beginning. We're able to choose who we become and who we are because of a gift, of the gift of free will. You are, in essence, a free chicken. And when I wrote that, I was thinking free-range chicken. So you know. So the choice and the consequence are your own. They're nobody else's. They belong to you. So if you come to my office and you tell me X, Y, Z occurred, and I messed up, A, B, C occurred, the D, E, F is the consequence. I ran out of alphabets. So, and D, F, and I say, yes, you're absolutely right. And they say, well, why? I'll say, well, it's because of A, B, C. It's pretty elementary, you know. If you stand in the middle of the road and you get hit by a car, and you say, why did I get hit by a car? I'll say, you were standing in the middle of the road. And it's pretty elementary. Some people who want to escape free will not see that. They'll say, no. Something caused me to end up in the hospital. And that car is at fault. And I'll be like, yeah, I guess so, because that car hit you. But you were standing in the middle of the road. You see how it goes on and on and on. Escaping responsibility, you can't escape responsibility. You have to take responsibility. And willpower is kind of the strength of your conviction. So what I mean by that is if you decide that you're going to run 3 days a week, and Monday comes and you say, well, I'll run tomorrow. And Tuesday comes and you said, well, I can run Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And Wednesday comes and you're like, really don't feel like running. And Thursday comes and it rains. You're like, oh, I can't run in the rain. So then Friday comes, you run. Saturday, you run. And you're like, well, it ran 2 out of 3 days. And I'll say, well, I thought you said you were going to run 3 days. And you say, well, it rained. I couldn't run in the rain. And I'll be like, okay, that's your choice. That's what you do. From that moment on, I know how much you really want to run 3 days a week. Because if you really want to run 3 days a week, you'll run 3 days a week. If you really want to be a Christian, you'll be a Christian. There is no excuse. There's no reason. It's who you are. You can't escape it. It's not what you are. It's who you are. If it was what you are, you could change like you change shirts. I could be a fireman one day. I could be a policeman. I could be a therapist. I could be whatever I want because it's what I do. It's easy. But who I am, I can't escape who I am. It follows me. It becomes personal. Weak willpower is a slave to desire. What I mean by that is that your desire is to not push yourself. And weak willpower will say, man, it's okay. Don't worry about it. You don't have to do it. So a strong willpower is like, no, I'm not going to take that as an answer. I'm actually going to be more than that. So all these different promises we make ourselves, and we tell our spouse and tell our friends and stuff, it comes down to willpower. If it's not happening, person says, okay, I know how important it is to you. What I say this is because I come across this all the time in my practice. People come in and say, you know what, I want to change my life. And I say, well, we can do that. And I start talking to them, and we make plans to do things. Next thing I notice, nothing's happening. They're not doing anything. And some people leave my office, and they're like, oh, what a waste of time. I mean, that guy did nothing for me. I'll say, you're absolutely right. I wasn't the one to do anything. You're the one to do it. See, I see God as the master therapist. That's who he is. God is telling me, you know what? I'm not the one to do it. You're the one to do it. I gave you all the tools. I gave you free will. You're able to make a choice. You're able to determine who you are. If you don't do it, then you didn't do it. And that's it. And that is God that says, you know what? You had everything you needed. You're neither hot nor cold. I'm not sure what you are. You're kind of lukewarm. You're undecided. You had a choice and you didn't make it. You didn't go with it. No matter where it took you, you didn't follow through with it. I'm not sure what to do with that. I'm not sure what that means. So, a Dominican friar 700 years ago, named Thomas Aquinas, presented an idea. That idea was the soul directs the will. In other words, we have free will, which means we have the ability to choose what we want to do. But who I am is a Christian. As a Christian, I have a soul. And that soul directs what I think and what I do. And that is God created you and me in his image. A spiritual being have intellect and will. Intellect being superior to the will, or the intellect being the boss of the will. You know, that is the guts of our moral compass. And everyone has a moral compass because we are created by God. And this is what I call the little Trinity. The little Trinity to me is the soul, intellect, and the will. The soul is the Spirit, Holy Spirit, which guides me. My intellect is a power to make a choice. And when I make that choice that's contrary to my soul or the Spirit, if I choose to make that choice, there's consequences. And usually those consequences come in a form that I'm familiar with, and I recognize that I've made the wrong choice. That to me is who I am. I'm a Christian. I make bad choices. But I also have a tool, I have a moral compass to guide me on my path. The problem is, there seems like some of the campers are not using their moral compass. And not using a moral compass in itself is not bad, but not seeking or choosing to find your compass is when we kind of get in problems. That is one reason why I wrote the book, because there's so many people come to my office looking for answers and not quite understanding that they have the tools. They have the tools from the very beginning. Before the beginning, to the beginning, they had the tools. They had the tools that God gave them to use, and my job is simply point them out. Again, my plan is world domination. If I can get that third over to my side, I can rule the world. Well, I can't rule the world, but I come close to ruling the world. So I think the secret is to find your compass and then use your compass. And people that are confused about the compass, let them know about the compass. Let them know that they actually have the compass. In fact, so the idea becomes who's in control. And the idea we get to choose ourselves. So if we get to choose for ourselves, then we are who we choose to be, right or wrong. Choice becomes personal. And when I say personal, the choice to act and think and talk is your choice. No one tells you how to think, act, and talk. So when I see you acting and talking and thinking a certain way, I'm going to assume that's the way you want to be. And if that's contrary to who you are, well, then you have a problem. It's called, in psychology, called ego dystonic. Ego dystonic means who you are, what you're acting, what you're thinking, what you're saying, don't jive. There's friction there. A lot of times, I meet people in my office that are ego dystonic. They say, my life just doesn't feel like it fits. And when I talk to them, I find out they're very good people. They have a moral compass. But they're making choices that don't quite fit with their plan. So these are the people that are dazed. And these are the people that can help give them direction. With that said, you are responsible for how you think, act, and what you say. Life is a reflection of those thoughts, the deeds and the words that write down a story of who you are. Every single one of us is a story. It's a blank story. And we write upon that story based on what we say and do and act, whatever. The story gets written. The older we get, the more the stories start to come in focus of who we are and what we've done. And a lot of times the story becomes focused even because from our mistakes. Our mistakes dictate who we are and how we become in this world. So the idea is, okay, if that's true, then the world was set up this way. Who set it up? That's a very good question. And we come back to the belief, the beginning. Who set up the world this way? We are, in fact, monkeys, evolved, very advanced, highly trained monkeys. Then we still are who we are, right? We're still making choices, we're doing things and stuff like that. So the idea is there is no God, that we are who we are, and that's it. Then we say, okay, so we're very highly trained evolution people. We're still responsible. Nothing changes. Even without a God, the world is set up the way we set the world up. You don't escape responsibility. So an evolutionist can come to me and say, well, I don't believe in God because, God is, how could a God create such a world like this? I'm like, okay, so let's take God out of the picture. Let's say there is no God. Let's say, in fact, we evolved just the way you say we evolved. There's a problem. That problem is we still got the world. No God, we still have the world. So who's responsible? I'm responsible, right? So you can't really blame God for a world you're responsible for. Because I'm a Christian, that's who I am. God gave us free will, free choice. We decide who we are. The second alternative is to say that we were created by God. So in those, we have free will. So with this one, I would say, you're absolutely right. We're created from God. We have free will. The world is how we made the world. We are responsible for the world. The third alternative is there is a God. He created God, but he controls the world. Like everything that happens in the world, God controlled the world. He has plans for every single thing that happens, which would say that we have no free will. So basically, there's only one alternative that takes us away from responsibility. And the only explanation for that is that there is a creator that created the world, and that creator controls the world. Evolutionists don't like this response at all. But that's what it comes down to. We all have personal responsibility for how things have become. And that's how the world is, how God set up the world, because we are in charge. When you're in charge of something, you can make it what you choose to make it. If it's not good, you can make it good. If it's bad, then you can change it. You don't have to keep. It doesn't have to stay bad. And that's what the power of free will is all about. So the only choice that escapes the realm of responsibility is that God created a world that He controls with no free will. That fits very well for a couple of people I know. Actually, just one person I know, the fool. A fool looks for any reason to escape responsibility. That's what a fool does. A wise person looks for each opportunity to take control of the world. Only at the end of the story does a fool start to realize what it was all about. And what was easily ignored at the beginning becomes painfully obvious at the end of the story. The only problem is it's at the end of the story. At that point, sadly, the lessons haven't been learned. They won't be learned. Nobody ever escapes responsibility for the choices, which brings us back to the beginning. God set it up a certain way. And that way is every one of us have a choice. Every one of us has consequences that go with that choice. And we can determine those outcome of that choice. So, with that said, the book is about, and life is about, us becoming the best people we can become and making the best choices we can make, and world domination. Just plain and simple. We were made to dominate the world. How many believe that? I see a lot of heads nodding. So we were made to dominate the world. How do you dominate the world? Blank looks. Choices. Choices is how you dominate the world. Small choices. Not big choices. Small choices. Every single day. And those choices are personal choices. And personal responsibility. It goes back to who you are as opposed to what you are. And if it is who you are, then it won't escape you. It will always be the prime factor that drives those choices. And that's how it was set up from the beginning.